Hi everyone, welcome back. I just thought I'd make a quick video for you because I'm in the middle of doing this drawing for a pencil and wash painting which I'm going to make a video of. And while I was drawing it I thought, why don't I get the camera rolling and just explain how I do these trees. Because it's on watercolour paper and it's sort of a different method to what you've seen me do with the graphitin pencils and the graphite powder. So I thought this may be useful for those of you that are actually having a go at this pencil and wash technique. And I thought also it might be helpful to those that just sort of watch my videos for the drawing side of things. You know, if you fancied having a go on watercolour paper, you can get some nice results. So I'm working on it's Bockingford £140 cold pressed paper. It's got a nice sort of textured, medium textured grain to it, which looks lovely on foliage on trees. So I'm going to show you how to do these trees right now. So I'm just using an HB pencil, and can you see how I'm holding it? I'm holding it that way. I'm not holding it like I'm going to write. I'm holding it flat so I can use the tip of the side of the graphite and not the tip. So I'm just dragging it across the grain like that. Just lightly, just up to the edge of this tree. And already you can see the texture of the paper showing through. Now I'm just going to leave it at that for a minute, and I'm going to go over to a 2B pencil, and along the edge of this tree I'm going to go in quite dark so I can define the edge of this tree. I'm just sort of using little circular motions now. Go in a little bit there. It doesn't matter if it looks a little bit false at the minute, because when that's shaded in I shall go in with a pencil eraser or something and just flick a few leaves across that darker line, and it'll look more natural then. So now I've done that, I'm going to hold the pencil on the side again and just kind of shade up to the dark line that I've just put in. Not pressing too hard, just letting the grain of the paper show through. And just bringing that over into the bit that was shaded with the HB. Okay, so that's fairly simple, isn't it? I mean, you could actually wash over that as it is, but if you want, you know, to get more of a natural looking tree, we've got to sort of start refining it just a little bit. So we've got the sunlight coming in this way, so this side is going to be the dark side. So I'm just going to start just making that just a little bit more darker, just here and there and around the base of the tree. Just looking at the shape of the tree now, we've got some sort of light areas here, so that's going to be darker under there. I'm just trying to work out the form of the tree now, just the shapes, you know. Right, okay. So at that stage now, I'll go in with the blender. Somebody actually asked me on the comments section the other day, you know, doesn't this turn to mud when you know, how are you stopping it from turning to mud when you put the watercolour over it? And she said, you know, does it turn to mud? And I said, well, yes, it can do. But as long as you don't, you know, use pencils that are too soft. I mean, I've used sort of 4B, 6B and kind of got away with it, but I like to sort of stick to a 2B pencil. But this really helps. When you're actually blending in, what you're doing, you're kind of burnishing the graphite into the grain of the paper, and you're removing any excess on the tip of the blender. So, you know, that sort of minimalise your chances of, you know, graphite lifting up and getting into the wash. So, you know, even if, you know, like these areas here, you don't need to blend them, it's best just to go over them, just to remove any excess and to push the graphite more into the paper, so there's less chance of it pulling up. Okay. Right, okay, I can see my battery light flashing. This happens every time, doesn't it? Let me change the battery and I'll get right back to you. Right, okay, battery's changed. Right, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to get the kneadable eraser and I'm going to sort of just mould it into a sort of reasonably fine point. It doesn't have to be, you know, pencil sharp or anything, just sort of like that'll do. And now I'm just going to start just erasing a few highlights. Just where I think the sun would be catching it. It's going to look, you know, a bit sort of stand outish at the minute, but don't worry about that, we'll blend that in just a second. Okay, and now just going with the blender again, just sort of blend them a little bit. Don't like that shape there, it kind of follows the tree too much. Let's just we'll just darken that bit off there as well. Right, okay. A bit darker underneath. See, now it's just a case of going back in with the pencil, doing a little bit more blending, maybe a bit more erasing, and just keep going at it until you're happy with the result, which I'm not. So I'm going to keep going back and just lining it off. As they're receding, it's going to get a little bit lighter and less detailed anyway, so I can stand to line that off a little bit more. But that's basically it, you know, it's very, very simple. And then just to make this tree look a bit better along the edge, I can just sort of, with a clean pencil eraser, I can just sort of go in and just make that edge a bit more natural. Just like that, just pull a few highlights out just here and there, just right on the edge. Okay. Got the trunk on that one, there's a trunk that sort of comes down there. Put that in. Blend it over a little bit. I mean, that's not completely finished. I mean, I will carry on just adding a few more highlights and getting a little bit more shape in there. But it really is as easy as that, and you can spend as much time as you want on that, refining it, making it darker. And just going over it again with the pencil on the side will bring back more of the grain pattern for you as well, if you've lost some of it with the blending process. Line there, I don't know what's happened there. Okay, and it's the same process again. For the last one, just lightly going over it with an HB pencil, and with the 2B pencil I can now define the shape of the tree next to it. that in a little bit. And the same again with the kneadable eraser, just a few highlights here and there. I'm not going to put too much detail on this one actually because it's going off into the distance a little bit. I think we need it just a bit more dark just under there. One thing I've noticed with this pencil and wash technique, if you actually wash over this with watercolour and you sort of go in on these really dark areas, sometimes the water doesn't soak into the paper because the graphite sort of holds it off a little bit, and what happens is the watercolour kind of beads up on top of the graphite, but it will actually go in if you just kind of leave it a minute and just gently rub it with a brush. But it doesn't really matter if it does or it doesn't, because it's just a dark tone that we're just tinting over, and it may not show too much colour anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So there we go, I'll just, there's a few of those lines there. And that's it, simple as that. So bring that square on and bring it a bit closer. Can you see how effective that is with the grain of the paper? Looks like you spent hours, you know, drawing all those leaves, and it's just 5 minutes. Really easy. Right, so I'll continue to finish this off camera now because it'll take too long to show you everything, and then I'll make another video of me painting it when I've finished all the graphite work. So I hope that little video was some use to you. Thanks very much for viewing, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.